Hello and welcome everyone. We are just about to get started here at the top of the hour. I want to thank everyone for being here, and I see some of you guys have already dropped where you're listening in from in the chat. Remember, if you have any questions or any comments or things that you would like to know from our speaker today, feel free to also put that in the chat and we will get those answered at the end. We have a little section after the presentation today where our speaker, Emilio Freeman, will be answering any of your questions. All right, we're just waiting for some folks to keep trickling in, and then we will get started right at the top of the hour here, or I should say 12:30. Okay. Again, thank you everyone for being here. We appreciate you taking the time. We know that there's many different people in different locations, different cities, different time zones. So also feel free to drop in the chat where you guys might also be listening from or viewing from. And without further ado, I will play our intro and then get ready to introduce to you Emilio Freeman, Vice President of Destinations.
Hello, everybody. I'm Emilio Freeman. I'm the Vice President of Itineraries and Destinations for SEADREAM Yacht Club, small little boutique. We don't like to say cruise line, a small little boutique travel company that focuses on taking you to destinations that many of the other passenger vessels that ply the seas don't get an opportunity to visit because they're either too big or the infrastructure in the given port is too small. So what I wanted to do is start off talking a little bit about why we're going to Northern Europe, why we are going by the Western European countries that we'll be talking about in a second here. I recently read an article, and the article was published by Virtuoso, a travel industry, luxury travel industry group of travel agents. And they talked about bookings in Northern Europe and in Scandinavia being about 25% higher than what they were in the recent past for next year. And we are going to be going to Northern Europe, but in order to get there, we've got to go by Western Europe. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. They coined an interesting phrase, coolcations, which I jokingly say a lot of times to people, friends, and industry colleagues, that one of the positive benefits, and this is kind of like an off-color joke, one of the positive benefits of global warming is that it's getting warmer in the northern waters. So we will take our yachts, one of our yachts, to the northern waters where we can have a yacht-like follow the sun type of experience in the north. Not necessarily taking out our water sports toys and our marina and doing that in every port of call, like we do in the Caribbean and in many of the Mediterranean ports that we visit, but in some of the northern destinations. And I think I might try to cover one of those as I'm talking to you. But this phrase that was coined, coolcations, it just reminds me of what we are all about. And going to, let me grab my clicker here. Going to some of these destinations that we're talking about would be great. So without further ado, let me just go into the presentation mode so you can actually see what we got. Go. One second here. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some Western European voyages in 25 and 26. What we have, and before I get into those specific voyages, I wanted to just cover a little bit about how we do what we do. There's three concepts that we use in our destination planning efforts and when we design itineraries. Our itineraries are designed in a fashion that will be more bespoke. In other words, I read, as well as all of the executives within the company, read every single comment that's published and that our guests tell us about how they enjoyed their stay on board. They talk about their destinations, they talk about the cuisine on board, they talk about the marina, they talk about the officers. But I focus on 2 of the 12 or 13 questions that we have that talks about the shoreside activities and the ports of call themselves. And I focus on what our audience likes. So being a small yacht-like vessel, we have the opportunity, as I said a couple of minutes ago, that we can visit places that big ships can't go to. And we tailor make those in a bespoke manner for those guests that are tried and true sea dreamers that come back over and over again. And one of the things they like about us, about SEADREAM, is that we can create itineraries that go to places that we haven't visited in the past. And hence, we're going to Western Europe, and we'll cover some of those destinations in just a moment. Uncrowded. We love to take you to places where the big crowds aren't. I'll give you an example. I think about Santorini, Mykonos, Venice, Dubrovnik, all very great destinations, great iconic destinations on your bucket list. But these destinations, what we see when we read the comments are, oh, going to Santorini, I was all excited about going there, but after being there, maybe you shouldn't go next time because it's just so crowded. I use the term people pollution. And I'm not trying to take away from those destinations at all, but they're just so overrun. They are bucket list destinations that people want to go to, but once they've been there, they don't necessarily want to go back. I think that Greece is addressing some of these issues to try to combat the heavy saturation of passenger vessels going to some of these places. But with us, we look at it a little bit differently, and we try to take you to some of these places that are a little bit off the beaten path, off the radar, if you will. Authentic. Authentic is another word that we use. And what I mean by that is that they're more genuine destinations. Yes, there are places in the Caribbean that some of our big brothers and sisters in the passenger shipping industry will take you to. You'll have a perfect day in Coco Cay, or you'll have, other private island destinations, but those are all designed just for that audience. It's great. I'm not trying to take away from them at all. But we don't really go there. We go to the real places, and we'll take you to where they actually will make you the type of cuisine where you'll actually get to see what you're looking for in its natural environment. It's almost another way of saying this is that when you go to Disney World, yes, you're going to see some great things. You go to Epcot, but they're all pavilions where they bring everything in from around the world. We'll take you to those destinations. So those are 3 concepts that we use in our planning efforts as we go to. And here, this is Western Europe. We will take you on 3 voyages in 2025 going north, 2 voyages in 2026 going north, and in the fall, in the August-September time frame, we'll be coming back. We'll be in Northern Europe, whether it's in Norway, primarily in Norway in 25, later on this next year, or in Norway and the British Isles in 2026. And that's why you see a Western Europe voyage starting in Dublin and heading south. We cover a lot of the same destinations going north as we do going south, but they are all, majority of them, off the beaten path. So there are 10 countries that we cover, and over 30 different ports of call in those 9 voyages. In some, all of those voyages that I'm just talking about for 25 and 26. And what you'll see here is that in 25, we've already got 2 of them are sold out. One that goes from Lisbon to Bordeaux, and another one that's from London to Oslo. Those 2 voyages are sold out, but we still have some opportunities on these other 3, 1 going north and the 2 going south. And then the same thing at 26, we have these voyages that are shown. So I'm going to get into a little bit of the details of some of these things and some of the destinations. But before I do that, I just wanted to cover something with you. Just whenever I think about a given destination, I think, and I do this primarily at a place that I've never been to before. What do I know? What do you know about the place? If I say to you, I or we are going to Spain, what are some of the thoughts that come to your mind off the top of your head when you think about Spain? You think about tapas, you think about Rioja wine, you think about Barcelona and the Sagrada Cathedral, you think about pinchos in the north, you think about flamenco. When I say the same thing about France, you think about escargot, you think about Bordeaux and all the different wines, you think about Eiffel Tower, Paris, Normandy. There's just a wealth of thoughts that come to your mind. And what I and we try to do in creating these itineraries and these destinations is try to deliver on some or all of those concepts when we visit some of these places, all in authentic or genuine destinations that that provide you with an experience that's not prefabricated or pre-made up, not bad, but they're authentic. So what I want to do now is it would be difficult for me to go through all of these itineraries in the short period of time that we have. But what I can do is at least cover some of the specific destinations and give you some tidbits about why you might want to go there. So one of the ones is in the Channel Islands. In the Channel Islands, which is just off the coast of France, and it's part of the UK. I don't know how many different islands there are, but the ones that we're specifically going to are Guernsey and on some of the voyages that are either going north or south, Sark. And what's so great about this? I was in the Channel Islands, I guess about a year and a half ago, doing a site inspection before we actually included these destinations in our itineraries for 25, 26. And I can't go in and talk to you a little bit about 27, but we'll get there. Here's a picture of the littlest chapel in I would say Europe. There are other places as well, but this is all made out of mosaic. You walk in and it's about the size of the width of my shoulders here, or my arms extended. It's a small little beautiful place that you won't see anywhere else, and you have the opportunity to see that when you're going to Guernsey. Outside of Guernsey, right in the bay there is a fort that was used during World War II. It was the German. I think it's the only place in the UK that was captured by the Germans, and they have. It was in one of the things that I remember reading about was there is a 60 Minutes documentary that was done, I guess about 2 or 3 months ago, that talked about some of the history during World War II that happened here. Victor Hugo was living there after he left France during the French Revolution. When you go to Sark is a place where there's no cars. You can't get around. You have to either walk or take one of these horse-drawn carriages around the town, or around the island, I should say. Beautiful. When I was in another island that's right next to Guernsey called Perm, it was like I experienced all four seasons in one day. It was warm, it was rainy, it was hot, all walking around, saw barely anybody, but there's just beautiful, beautiful paths walking along some of these beaches that are there and climbing up some of the hills that are there. We take you to London, and you saw that some people already know about this. I talked to you about the voyage that goes from London to Oslo in 2025 in late May. That's already sold out. But we do have a voyage that's going to London from Bordeaux to London, where we have an opportunity to include you in our plans. London. Many people, there's about 4 or 5 destinations, cities that you can go to and say that you're getting access to London. Southampton, Dover, Tilbury, Greenwich, but we don't go to any of those places. Southampton is probably like about an hour and a half by train. Dover is about an hour and a half by car. Tilbury is about 25 miles from the center of London. We take you right in to the center of the city. We take you and we snake the vessel through the Thames River, and we get all the way up to Bridge, and we come alongside. This is a picture of one of the SEADREAM vessels that was done, I would say, about over 10 years ago, where we actually went in all the way, went under this bridge, and docked alongside the HMS Belfast, which is a historical museum, maritime museum, a vessel that's right there, and you have to walk on that vessel, and another gang would be there to give you access directly to our vessel, SEADREAM 2, in 2025 when we're there. We'll be there for 3 days, showcasing the vessel and getting some of our Brit clients on board so that they can see what we're all about. So we go there. We also go to Scheveningen. I just included this because I love to say the word Scheveningen. It's a hard one to pronounce. It took me a long time to figure out how to say that, actually. But Scheveningen is one of those destinations that not a whole lot of ships get to. You say, why are you going there? Because it's 20 minutes away from The Hague, the 2018 City of Culture for all of Europe. It's got a wealth of history, and it's the center of international finance and governance within all of Europe. It's the center of the European community. So anyway, we have access there, and there's a phrase that I just want to share with you. Lignap. Lignap. What is lignap? Some people know what it is. If you're from Louisiana, you probably know it's a Cajun word, and it basically means giving you a little gift. I'm going to give you a couple of other little gifts along the way here. When we go to Scheveningen, it's a small little town. It's known for the beach, the town, and The Hague. There is just a walk away or a 10-minute bike ride away from where the vessel will be docked, that will take you to a restaurant bar that's right on the beach, and it's in the Grand Hotel of Scheveningen, and it is called, gosh, the name escapes me, but I'll remember it later. It is a great place to get a real feel for eating and drinking Belgian food and ale. My favorite is it's Amstel. I love to drink Amstel Light. It's just me, but that you can drink to your delight here in Scheveningen and take the bike, and you can even take a bike ride over into The Hague and see some of the historical monuments that are there. As I said, it's known for its tagline is the town, the beach, and The Hague itself. Only about 20 minutes away from the port. So another thing that we do on these voyages, going north and going south, is pass through the Keel Canal. The Keel Canal. I was on a vessel a few years ago, going there, and what a great experience to sit outside and watch the world go by. And there's people watching you. It is just a great experience. You see other vessels coming up north, going northbound or southbound in the Keel, and there's people on the bridges. We're small enough that we go underneath the bridges, and they welcomed us. It was a great day. It takes about 7 hours to go through here, but it's a lot of fun to be able to do this on board a SEADREAM vessel as we're either traveling north or coming south in the fall. Bordeaux is one of those places that, according to some people that I work with in France, they would call it the prettiest port in all of France. Many ships, the big ships, have to anchor at the mouth of the river before coming down the Huron River. Other ones, they go to Pauillac. They can stop there, but we come all the way down. And other ships can do this, other smaller ships can do this, but we are right there. I can never remember the name of the monument that you see there circled in red, but we are right there. And you can see in 2019, our ship was there, anchored next to the town. You just walk in and you're right there. This is a picture. You can see a vessel that's right there, small vessel, and you're walking right into town. It's just absolutely beautiful. We're there in Bordeaux more than one day. So you'll have the opportunity to go out at night, and along the promenade, along the river, you'll see people riding bikes, walking around little cafes, a great way to just enjoy the city. And if you want to venture even farther away, Bordeaux wine, come on, there's lots of vineyards. I don't know how many hundreds of vineyards are in the region, but you'll have that opportunity. We are creating some yachting land adventures that will take you out into the vineyards so that you have your taste. And I think one of the voyages that we're talking about is actually a wine voyage where we invite local wineries to come on board and showcase their wines. And we're there, as I said, overnight. So I don't know how many of you that are out there are from, like me, from Miami, but you go to Miami Beach, you go to South Beach, and you can go to South Beach during the day, but when you're there at night, the whole vibe changes, the whole city changes. And it's like that as well in Bordeaux. And really in many different cities, the feel that you get during the day is very different than the feel that you get in the evening. And you have the opportunity to either eat on board. We have some great food on board. Many of the people come just for the food that we offer on board SEADREAM, but you also have the opportunity to go out on your own and do that. Another lignale, there is within a 9-minute walk of where the gangway is, where you can walk off the vessel, there is a place called Le Bar au Vin. My French is not very good, and whenever I talk French, I'm usually shrugging my shoulders because that's just a habit that I have in trying to speak French words. But this little bar is a 9-minute walk away, and it's a wine bar, and it has all of the different wines that you'll find in many of the vineyards that are in the region. And for 5 to 15 euros per glass, you get the opportunity to taste some of the great wines that are there from the beach without having to venture very far out. And you can do that so close to where the vessel is. You don't have to do like the big ships where they have to anchor at the mouth of the river. We'll go to Pouliac, which is about a 3-hour drive away. We are right there, a 9-minute walk. Again, another reason why we take you to places that are really uncrowded and why our vessels are small enough that we get the opportunity to take you right up close. Isles of Scilly. We'll be going to St. Mary's. And St. Mary's, Isle of Scilly is off the southwest coast of England. And it's a group of small little islands that are part of the UK, and the temperature is fairly moderate. You can actually go swimming there. I think that this may be one of the opportunities when our vessel is there to take out the marina and maybe do some water sports. I can't promise that, but this is where an opportunity may arise where we can do that. It's harder to do our marinas in some of these destinations where we come alongside, but where we're at anchor, which we will be in the Isles of Scilly, we'll get the opportunity to do that. The Fresco gardens that are there, the people that are just so welcoming and friendly. This is another one of those destinations that is not easy to get to, and that our bigger brothers and sisters within the cruise industry have difficulty in pulling off an experience here. Antwerp. We come up the river and we come in right alongside. You see this big tower. This tower is actually a castle, and we'll be docked right alongside this castle. Antwerp, a historical city known for its international trade, the diamond markets that are there. I remember seeing this in a movie from the 80s that was really iconic. It is a destination that takes you right up front, right close. You don't have to be down the road at the mouth of the river. This is another example where we'll be right there up front in a great Belgian city. A Coruña. A Coruña is in the Galicia region, and what it's known for is being one of the places where the Camino de Santiago is. There's lots of different trails, but this particular destination is where the Camino Inglés, the English way or the English path, starts from and goes all the way to the center of where everybody would walk. This picture is of the town hall of the Plaza de Maria Pinta. Very iconic building. You see in a lot of pictures when you talk about A Coruña. And from there, we also will have a YLA, a yachting land adventure, a tour that will take you over to the Tower of Hercules. This is at in A Coruña, and is about 1900 years old. It's from the Roman times that it still exists and is still in operation. Very, very interesting and beautiful historical site in this northwest corner of Spain. Fowey, this is another one of my favorites. And if you see a little pattern here, most of these cities are cities that are off the beaten path, are not on the radar of many people. They're not necessarily bucket list destinations, but they are destinations that once you're there, you say, wow, we had a great time. Fowey is a small little English town, Cornish town, where we'll be anchored right in the middle of this little bay, and we'll tender people into. You'll see a picture here of the gangway that leads you up. This is at low tide. You could be there at high tide, and it's almost level with the gangway is level to the top area there. And people come out, they see you, they're waving at you, very friendly. Another lignat that I'll share with you. You walk maybe 50 meters, if that. You can see that little path between the blue and the gray building and the white building in the background. That white building is another pub. I like pubs, so if you hear me talking about that a few times, you'll know why. The pub's name is the Ship Inn, and that place is from the 1600s. So you can go there and you can enjoy a British pint or two, and have your shepherd's pie and have a great afternoon, and then wander off in the city. There's a lot of other iconic sites that are outside, but if you just want to meander and enjoy your day in this beautiful small little Cornish hill city, it's right there. So one other thing I'll just share with you, I talked to you about some of the sites, 9 or 10 of these different destinations that we cover in 9 or 10 of the 30 that we're talking about, you know, on these 9 voyages. But we also have what we call grand voyages. And these grand voyages are where we take voyages back to back to back, and we offer them so that you can linger longer and explore more on one of our vessels. So we have 3 that I'll just quickly mention, and those 3 are in 25, 1 in 25, and 2 in 26. 1 in 25 that we're going to mention is on the journey south. It's a 28-day voyage that begins on August 9th and goes from Oslo all the way to Barcelona, and it'll cover some of the destinations that I just mentioned. It also goes up the Guadalquivir River to Sevilla, which here in the United States on Monday we celebrated Columbus Day, or Indigenous Peoples Day, they call it. But this is where they say Columbus is buried. And they just recently did a study of his DNA, and they say that if it's really him, that he was a Sephardic Jew that did some DNA testing and did not realize that Columbus was one of the members of the tribe, so to speak. Anyway, you can go from Oslo all the way to Barcelona in 28 days, and you can see many of the places that I just mentioned, as well as some other ones that are truly off the radar for big vessels. Another voyage. This one actually starts in Palm Beach, so you can go from Palm Beach across the U.S. or across the Atlantic and end up in Lisbon, and then start going north all the way to Oslo. So this one, it's about a 14-day transatlantic voyage that we do. One of the things that we do on a transatlantic that I have yet to experience, that anytime I've read about it, people love it, is on a transatlantic voyage, the captain will stop, assuming the weather's right, stop somewhere, drop the marina down, and people will get to swim in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. How many people can actually say that? Not very many. And this is an opportunity where people can truly enjoy something that I would say is a bucket list item, to swim in the middle of the Atlantic. Anyway, so this is another long grand voyage that we offered here. The last one that I'll just talk about is going from Tromsø, Norway, Tromsø being known as, and I don't know why they call it this, it's the Paris of the North. Actually, I read somewhere that some people that went to visit there, they loved the costumes or the way that the women were dressing there, the cuisine, so they called it the Paris of the North. I've spent a lot of time in Tromsø. I don't recall that, but hey, not women dressing badly. No, I don't. Please don't get me wrong. It's a really interesting city because it's about 200 miles north of the Arctic Circle, and if you know anything about geography, the Arctic Circle is where anything that's north of there in the summertime, which this will be from May to June 3rd, and that will be part of their extended summer in the north, you'll get the opportunity to see the midnight sun, where you'll be there and the sun doesn't go down. Likewise, in the winter, we don't do this in the winter, but it's dark the entire 24-hour period of time in the day. So this voyage goes 31 days, starting in May 2nd. Actually, it starts from Lisbon and going north, so it ends up in Tromsø, not starts in Tromsø. But you can see a lot of the sites, and if you don't recognize some of these places, it's because we take you again to places that are off the radar. So that's a brief synopsis. I didn't want to cover. We started it at 12:30. I had 30 minutes. I wanted to cover a lot with you, but I wanted to just also say that if you have any questions that are out there, I'm more than happy. We can extend this. Those of you that I just said 30 minutes, you can leave, but those that want to hear a little bit more and get me to answer some questions, I'm happy to do that. My colleague here, Don, who's off camera. Don, do you have any questions?
Yeah, we have a few questions that have come through. The first one relates to the grand voyages you were talking about. It says, if I can't do the full 28-day grand voyage, can I still book a back-to-back and only go for 2 weeks on a certain grand voyage itinerary?
Absolutely, absolutely. Assuming that that stateroom is available, and sometimes we may, if you want a specific stateroom, I'm going to just make up a number. 308, that's your favorite one, and you always want to go into 308 because it's port side or starboard side, and you always like the view from there. It may not be available on both voyages, but we'll suggest ones that are, and if 308 is available on one of those weeks, and 309 is available on the other side, then maybe you have to change. But we try not to do that. We look for staterooms where you can stay in the stateroom the entire period of time that you're on board. And if it's over 2 weeks on a back-to-back voyage, we're happy to do that.
Awesome. Speaking about staterooms, another question says, do you have cabins for solo travelers?
Not necessarily, but we do have on certain voyages special rates for those, but we don't have specific staterooms. Our staterooms are really designed for couples. You have a queen size bed, a seating area, walk-in closet, private bath, but they're really designed for a couple, not single travelers. And to be honest with you, since we're talking about couples, we're more for adults. We do allow children to come on board, but we're not designed for kids per se. We don't have a kids room, we don't have kids activities, but if they're there, we're more than happy to accept them. We're more than happy to, if they want pancakes at night for dinner, we'll be happy to make that for them, assuming that the parents will allow that. But for solo travelers, no, I'm sorry that we're not really designed for solos. The prices would be probably a double occupancy rate.
That's great to know. And actually, we have an opposite question. This person is asking about groups.
Now you're asking me questions about areas that are outside of my realm of influence, so to speak. But I can say for groups, yes, we do have group rates. We do have terms and conditions that will apply to groups, and you can either do that direct, for you go through a travel agent, because they can answer a lot of your questions and deal with us directly and get expedited a lot quicker. I would suggest that you call into our reservations department and they can guide you to the right person. We do have people out in the field that are working with travel agents that will help guide you in creating a group program for you. And I should say this, that when you talk about groups, we're a small vessel. So we like to focus a lot on not just a large group, why not consider chartering the whole vessel? There's 56 staterooms. All of you out there, except for maybe one or two, who knows? But the majority of you have 56 friends where you can invite them and you create, and the ship is all yours. We create a destination experience for your entire group on board, specially designed for you. So, I mean, we do groups, and I would suggest you call into our reservations department. They can guide you in the right way. We also like charters. We do a lot of anniversaries. We do a lot of birthdays, milestone birthdays. Like it's my 60th birthday, and I have, rather than have a party at some destination, I think I'm going to invite all my friends and charter a SEADREAM vessel, and we can all go out and have a week, maybe even less, depending upon what we do, but we prefer it to be a week. Itinerary exclusively for me and my 56 guests. Any other questions?
There's a few other questions. One of them says, do you offer something similar to the champagne and caviar party in this region?
That's a good question. We look for those type of venues, and those of you that are not sea dreamers, when we talk about champagne and caviar splash in the Caribbean, almost every single one of our voyages, we offer a champagne and caviar splash. We secure a venue, a beach bar, if you will, and we bring our crew ashore, and we bring food, and we bring the drinks, and we have a party on the beach and a barbecue on the beach with our guests, exclusively for us. Nobody else is there. There are about 4 or 5 destinations that we offer that in the Caribbean. I can't really say too much, but we did something in the Mediterranean recently, in the Greek Isles, where we had we tested it, and it was a great experience for those that were on board in a recent Greek Isles voyage. In Northern Europe, we haven't found anything yet, and it's a little more difficult. We'll do something on board, out by the pool. We'll have a party out there. We'll barbecue some food, and we'll have something as close to a champagne and caviar splash, but it'll be on board at the aft of the vessel around the pool.
Awesome. I think that might answer that other question, which was what other entertainment is offered, unless there's anything else you'd like to add.
Well, there is another webinar that was done by a couple of my colleagues, Bob Becker and Carlos Garzon. They each have been on board recently. They're new members to the team, and they gave their impressions on another webinar. And one of the things they talked about is what we are. We're small. We're intimate. We don't have any rock climbing walls. We don't have any IMAX theaters. We don't have any Las Vegas style review shows. But what we do have is great service, great cuisine, and off the radar destinations that we take you to. We will know your name as soon as you walk on board the vessel. We will have opportunities for you not just to dine inside in our restaurant, but whenever possible, we'll give you the opportunity to dine outside, al fresco. And we have Balinese beds where you can sleep out under the stars. Those of you that have been out in destinations where you don't have that ambient light or that noise of the city lights, and you're out in a desert, let's say, similar to what you might see if you're out on the ocean sailing between large bodies of land, with stars and the things that you can see. We set you up there. You want a bottle of champagne, we'll bring that to you. I can't tell you everything that we do for our guests when we set them up outside, but you get to sit outside and sleep outside under the stars. It's a great, truly romantic experience that we offer our guests. We have a piano bar, we do games, we spend a lot of time in port so that if you don't see something going on board, you can take one of our tenders, or if we're in a port alongside, just walk off and go into town. We do that in places like Amalfi, and Capri. We do that in Santorini. Actually, in Santorini, I mentioned before about the people pollution in crowds. we're actually testing out going there only in the evening when the other big ships leave and don't stick around after sunset because they want to open up their bars and casinos and get their hands in your pockets a different way. That's not part of our business model. We like to stay longer, linger longer in some of these destinations and actually take you there in the evening so that you can get an experience when it's not as crowded as during the day. Those are some of the activities that I can mention for you and your guests when they come on board SEADREAM. Any more? Or are we running out of time? We're already about 10 minutes over, but I think we've covered a lot of ground. All of you, thank you for attending. Hopefully I didn't go too fast. Hopefully you were able to pick up some of the great sound bites. And next time you think about a given destination and you think about the things that you might want to do, think about SEADREAM because we will make that available for you. And it's all genuine, authentic, and made expressly for you. Thank you.